Welcome back. You're watching Tafili Space, and here are the top 5 space news picks for this week. Coming in at number 5, SpaceX's Dragon capsule returns to Earth. SpaceX's Dragon capsule has returned from the International Space Station, as planned, after spending around a month docked in space. The Dragon capsule carried around 4,800 pounds of supplies, which included scientific experiments and mission materials for the astronauts aboard. It was the second time the Dragon capsule has successfully returned back to Earth, adding to the credibility of SpaceX's reusable spacecraft program.
3, 2, 1, 0.
At number 4, ISRO launches satellites into orbit. An Indian Polar Satellite Launch Vehicle, PSLV for short, has launched 31 satellites into orbit. This is a successful comeback from a previous launch failure. Last August, there was a malfunction with the booster's payload fairing separation system, and the rocket was lost. The rocket lifted off from the Indian Space Research Organization's Satish Dhawan Space Center, located on the country's east coast. It carried the agency's Cartosat-2F Earth observation satellite and 30 other smaller payloads. The 30 other payloads belong to 7 different countries, including Canada, Finland, France, Republic of Korea, the UK, and the US. The one that is getting the most buzz is the asteroid-hunting Arkid 6 nanosatellite from the US space mining company Planetary Resources. The Earth monitoring satellite is designed to assist land and resource management. It is part of a growing series of Cartosat-2 satellites launched by ISRO. It was delivered successfully into orbit 313 miles or about 500 kilometers above Earth. Cosmos is returning to the National Geographic Channel and Fox, with Neil deGrasse Tyson back as a host. Executive producer, writer, and director Andrew Yan won the Emmy for the show's first season in 2014. The Emmy was for outstanding writing for nonfiction programming. Andrew Yan was the widow of the late Carl Sagan, who first led off the series almost 40 years ago. At number 2, NASA team develops a new way to navigate in deep space. A team of NASA engineers has demonstrated fully autonomous X-ray navigation in space. This new capability could revolutionize NASA's ability in the future to pilot robotic spacecraft. The experiment is called Station Explorer for X-ray Timing and Navigation Technology, or SEXTANT. It uses X-ray technology to see millisecond pulsars, using them much like a GPS uses satellites. SEXTANT works by measuring the time delay from each pulsar, and it converts it into spatial coordinates. Pulsars are highly magnetized, rapidly rotating neutron stars. As they spin, they emit electromagnetic radiation. This radiation acts like a cosmic lighthouse for spacecraft, and since their spin has a constant regularity, they are in the ballpark to be as accurate as an atomic clock. It could take a few years for the technology to be developed into a navigation system suitable for deep space vessels, but the concept has been proven. Humanity has broadened its reach once more. At number 1 this week, SpaceX Falcon sends classified Zuma payload into orbit. The top-secret satellite known only by a code name, Zuma, was launched by SpaceX. The satellite was so highly secretive that it was not publicly released which government agency, whether it be the FBI, CIA, NSA, NASA, was responsible for it. The payload had a cost of $1 billion, built by Northrop Grumman, which is unusual for a satellite, or even for a spacecraft. Its classified mission is speculated to detect missile launches, spy adversaries, or track ships at sea with space radar. It was launched with a Falcon 9 rocket by SpaceX, and during the launch, the webcast was cut short so it would not reveal details of where the satellite was going or what it looked like. This is when the mystery starts. Soon after the launch, rumors have it that the second stage did not separate successfully, and the mission was a failure. We do know that Zuma received a NORAD catalog identification number, which means it stayed long enough in orbit to get cataloged. And this is why it's such a mystery, because in order to place an object in orbit, a second stage needs to successfully ignite. Some think that second stage fired successfully, but it was the satellite itself that failed to deploy. And this is when the media outlets began to put pressure onto the Pentagon. When reporters asked the Pentagon dodged the questions.
SpaceX launched the Zuma, a classified satellite payload Does the Pentagon consider the mission a success or a failure, both Dana and General, given its classified payload?
I would have to refer you to SpaceX, who conducted the launch.
No, that's not good enough. I'm sorry. This is a $1 billion or so satellite. It's been 4 days. Was it a success or a failure? And what's the fate of the satellite?
Again, I would have to refer you to them, and that's the answer.
But it's not
General,
a SpaceX satellite.
I mean, is the satellite, you know,
I'm with Dana. We're not going to be able to give you any more information. So
Why can't you do that? This is accountability is one of your keystones here.
Absolutely.
General Secretary Mattis has said this repeatedly. I'm asking you from an accountability standpoint. This thing went bump in the night somewhere, and nobody knows what happened to it. Can you give us a sense of whether you consider it a failure or a success as a mission?
Again, I'd have to tell you. I'd have to refer you to SpaceX, which actually launched the satellite.
But you're the government. You paid for it. You're the overseers, and you're asking us to go to the company who might have been partially responsible for the problem. I mean, that doesn't make any sense, ma'am. I'm sorry.
I understand, and given the classified nature of all of this, but again, that's the answer.
The president and COO of SpaceX, Gwynne Shotwell, released a statement in regards to the Zuma launch. SpaceX wanted to reiterate that the Falcon 9 did everything correctly, and due to the classified nature of the payload, no further comment was possible. This weekend ended on a different note. With space, you never know what's going to happen. As usual, if you liked the video, give it a thumbs up, subscribe. If I missed anything, let me know in the comments below, and I'll see you guys next week.